We're shifting our attention to some other stories now, and the big one that broke last night, that the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, says the joint operation on Friday, December 9, was informed by complaints received from the Federal Bureau of Investigations, that's the FBI in the United States, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Canada. According to EOCO, the intelligence-led joint operation was to retrieve various specifications of luxury vehicles suspected to have been stolen from the United States of America and Canada. The statement indicated that 37 of such vehicles were retrieved from some garages in Accra, with 10 arrests. The suspects have since been questioned and granted police inquiry bail. The statement further advised prospective vehicle buyers to conduct due diligence prior to the purchase of their vehicles. So the background to this is that a number of luxury vehicles have been brought into the country or imported into Ghana, and coincidentally, they seem to have been stolen in the United States of America and Canada. And based on that, a number of international agencies, the FBI specifically, and the police, the mounted police in Canada, are pursuing these vehicles. 10 of such vehicles have already been found in Ghana. Some arrests have been made. We're staying on this subject to find out what exactly the next line of action will be. Meanwhile, the Deputy Director in charge of operations at the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, that is Nana Enchi, gives a perspective on the situation.
Up to go on that mission. It was based on what they brought several months ago, and because of the implications, both legal and otherwise, we did painstaking inquiries behind the scenes to ascertain the veracity of what they wanted us to do. And when we were satisfied that we fell within the right arms of the law and other considerations, we now decided to go to the field to pick the vehicles we had already identified at the various locations for further action. In fact, that is exactly what we did. The event of Friday was only the practical actualization of what was on the plan. It is intended that it will continue, because not up to 20% of the list of the alleged stolen vehicles has yet been collected, and we need to collect all of them. What they claim is stolen, per the evidence they have given us, you cannot be sure you go and meet them. But if you should get all of them, it's not less than 200.
Wow, he says it's not less than 200 of such accusations or claims that have been brought before EOCO and government officials. Clifford Ansu is the General Secretary of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana, and he's joined us for a quick chat on this. Cliff, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How often do you get such reports that a number of the vehicles that you and some of your members sell may have been stolen?
But first of all, let me say that the allegation they didn't put out there by EOCO that 37 vehicles were picked on last Friday is false.
It's false?
The car that were picked on more than 37. That is the first correction I just want to make.
Okay, so you mean the number of vehicles they got from the operation is more than 37?
It's more than 37. So it's not 37 as they are claiming now. That's the first point I want to make.
Okay.
And then number two, those ones that they said investigations were conducted, and for that matter, the vehicle that they picked were all stolen vehicles are also false, because our guys who brought these vehicles duly bought them in America and Canada and exported them to Ghana. Now, when they also bought here, they paid their taxes and duties all right. We have our security agencies also here in Ghana, Accra, Tamahabo. So if they are claiming now that the cars that are at garages, various car sales points, are stolen cars, then of course, what work did those people at the harbor, did when those cars and vehicles were passed? Now, when these cars were picked last Friday, about more than 10 people were picked there also. Some of them were even beat. They beat some of them mercilessly, right? Those guys that did not meet their bosses at the garages at that time, the boys were telling them that, oh, our bosses are not available, and for that matter, let us call them to come over so that they rather can hand over the vehicles to you. The officers who went there did not take those words kindly. They went ahead to be there. They picked the cars also. As I even speak to you, you don't even know the locations of the vehicles. It was Monday that our lawyer, we went to our lawyers, and we sent our lawyers also there. When the lawyers went there, it's Monday, Tuesday, they told us that we are meeting them even this very afternoon. Whatever is happening from there, we shall brief the media. We shall also involve the media as we go along, as we go ahead with it.
Okay.
Because it is very sad.
Okay. So, Clifford, let's take it slowly. First of all, you're saying that they took more than 37 vehicles. How many did they take from you and your members?
According to tabulation that we are now gathering, they took more than 200, getting to 300 vehicles.
300 vehicles?
Yes, I can tell you that. If they want us to go to all the garages where the cars were picked, we can follow, you can take the media to where the garage, the cars were picked for the garage. So that you come out clean and tell us that these were the vehicles that we picked. They shouldn't put out that information that 37 vehicles were only picked from that those places.
All right, that is one. Secondly, how is it that they were able to find these vehicles? And the vehicles you're talking about, are they among the list of vehicles they said were stolen?
They are alleging that the vehicles are stolen vehicles. But for us, we know that the vehicles are not stolen vehicles.
They were bought, and you have documentation to show that they were bought in these two countries, Canada, US, and have gone through the due process?
Yes. I said those vehicles were duly bought in America and Canada, and they were exported from America and Canada to these places. America and Canada, when we are exiting, they have a machine at the port of exiting that called VICI, and that battery has a device used to test all the stolen vehicles and other things before the car can come out from the first place.
Right.
Are you telling me that those machines that were at the harbor over there were not working at the time the cars were passing? Or even here at the port? Our security agencies also over there.
Okay, Cliff, my last question. Cliff, I have just two final questions for you. First of all, how is it then that they are able to just come into your garage and say this car was stolen, that car was stolen? Were there prior conversations ahead of this swoop or police action?
There was no conversation. They just entered. According to my garage, they didn't come there because I don't have that car.
Okay.
But where they went, according to those guys over there, the report that they gave it to us was that immediately that they entered the garage, they just picked the car. You come here, you come here, you come here. Then they pick all those cars. They didn't even tell anybody anything. Those who wanted to confront them were those guys that were beaten.
Right.
Right?
Okay, and my final question. So what are you going to be doing about this next? I mean, your association, your union, what are the actions available to you that you intend to take?
Like I said, giving the case to our lawyers to pursue the case, right, for us. And as I even speak to you, right, I said earlier that they went there on Monday, they went there yesterday too. We are meeting them this very afternoon. Because when we held a press conference last Monday, we gave government ultimatum 3 days, which is today. So we want to see the bottom of the matter today. Whatever that happens, we shall communicate to the media, right?
Okay, Cliff, thank you so much. Clifford Ansu is the General Secretary of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana. And new allegations they are also leveling against EOCO and the bodies that are pursuing a number of luxury vehicles that we are told were stolen from US and Canada and shipped into Ghana. But the question then also remains, if these vehicles already hit our ports, how come they're able to get clearance and then enter the borders of Ghana? Many more questions need answers, so we'll be pursuing this issue with very keen eyes and absolutely update you in subsequent bulletins. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to some other stories now. A Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Diana Asunaba Dapa, has called on law enforcement organizations to concentrate more on fighting corruption and recovering stolen goods and criminal earnings. Speaking at the policy framework for asset recovery and management unveiled in Accra, she noted that the asset recovery is a highly effective deterrent to criminal activity in the battle against corruption and crimes related to it.
Law enforcement agencies have focused on investigating and prosecuting various crimes, including corruption and corruption-related offenses. Not much has been done by way of corruption prevention and recovery of tainted property and proceeds of crime. Additionally, the absence of a framework on assets recovery and management policy remained a major setback for the fight against illicitly obtained wealth.
The recovery of illicitly obtained assets linked to criminal activities both within and outside the jurisdiction of a country can provide developing countries like Ghana with resources needed to undertake high-priority development projects.
The Asset Recovery and Management Policy Framework is to ensure that Ghana seeks ways to block leakages in the economy.
The presence of our police stations, costs are littered with seized and impounded vehicles, which are almost always connected to crime. With time, these restrained vehicles are left to rot away under the harsh conditions of the weather, with very little or no value to salvage at the end of the criminal justice processes.
The drafting of the framework was supported by agencies including GIZ and the British Embassy.
The effective implementation of this policy will be key to improve the asset recovery practices in Ghana, and I'm pleased that the policy has been improved by the Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
On the other hand, recovery of tainted property and other proceeds of crime not only prevent crime, but serves as a deterrent, making corruption an act of higher risk with lower returns.
We sees the launch of today's policy framework as an important step forward that will support Ghana